What's up, everybody? Josh Armijo here. I hope everybody's doing good and well and stuff. I got an album review to do for you, and I'm going to show it to you right now. This is the debut album from the band Swine Overlord, entitled Parables of Umbral Transcendence. This is released on Gore House Productions. Now, if you're not too familiar with this band, they are based out of both New York and Florida, and the best way to describe the sound of this band would be a very experimental, yet technically brutal style of death metal. Over the years, this has been a band that has gone through a lot of changes, both musically and creatively, and they have also been getting a great deal of buzz within the brutal death metal underground. And I would say the buzz and the hype for this band is very well justified. Originally, this started off as a one-man project formed by a guy by the name of Will, and I should also mention that Will is someone who I consider a very good friend of mine and a longtime viewer of my channel, so cheers to you for progressing not only musically but professionally and personally. Really awesome to see you get up on this great journey. But anyway, this was originally his sort of deal, one-man band, originally underwent a few name changes, Malignant Abomination at first, later on into Hypoxic, and then in 2012, set in stone with Swine Overlord. What was then a one-man band became a two-person band with the inclusion of a guy by the name of Devin to do vocals and some programming. Things clicked off very well. A demo was made in 2012. Then, of course, said demo got spread around. A lot of great hype, a lot of good buzz and word of mouth from many, many fans of the genre. And then, of course, the demo got picked up by Gore House Productions, got reissued in early last year with, I want to say it came out last year. It got retitled as the Anthology of Abominations EP. Really amazing way to get exposure for the band and for more people to be aware of Swine Overlord. And then when I found out that they were going to be coming out with a full length, I was really happy to hear. I could not wait to hear the next evolutions that this band was setting to do. And of course, they went from a two-person band to a three-person band, a trio at least. They brought in Tony from the band Gutfucked. He is a really good guitar player, but he also has some really awesome vocals to him, and I was interested to hear what kind of dynamic he would bring to Swine Overlord. And upon hearing a couple of tracks, most notably Bleeding the Sinful, I was really excited to hear the rest of it. So now here we are with the debut full-length from Swine Overlord entitled Parables of Umbral Transcendence. It's 13 tracks, and it clocks in at around 41 minutes in length. And from the minute you put this album on, you're going to be given a great deal of surprises to be found here. This isn't your typical run-of-the-mill brutal death metal release. There are some ideas and thoughts being presented here that could see very well a level of growth and maturity for them to follow up in the future. And with Parables of Umbral Transcendence, they deliver one of the most interesting brutal death metal records I've listened to in 2014. It may also end up probably being one of the very best, too. The main story of Parables of Umbral Transcendence is Will's guitar playing. He puts on somewhat of a virtuoso clinic with this entire album. The main key word here for the riff work and guitar playing on this album is variety. You're going to get a ton of variety within his riff work. You're going to get some really devastating, brutal slam-style riffs. You're going to get some death metal, some more modernized sort of death metal riffs, some almost progressive breaks, really incredibly played, very beautifully, articulately handled. Like on the opening track, Celestial Purge, I think he does some great guitar work on that opening track. And then to an instrumental like Convergence, where it almost sounds as if this band is verging towards a more modern take on death metal. And then later on to the second half of this record, you get tracks like Cadaveric Pantomime and Dismantling the Flesh Construct, where all of a sudden you get breaks that almost verge on being progressive and almost Cloud Kicker, Animals as Leaders sort of thing. If you're into that style of progressive metal, it takes you for a loop. You don't see it or expect it to happen, but it does. And it's very, very interesting. And I applaud Will for trying to make something very creative and something special, something not anyone would be prepared for. That's the element of surprise, and there are plenty of surprises to be had with Will's guitar playing. I think his riffs are very, very articulate, the brutal riffs and the more contemporary death metal sort of soundscapes. The solos sound really good. His bass playing is very, very articulate too. It almost verges on being technical, and that's another thing to point out. There are some very technical riffs to be heard on this record too, both from the guitar and the bottom end of the record. Very well played, very smooth, very well balanced. I love the way that these riffs sound, and of course, there's a really good mix to be heard on this record too. I think the mix definitely brings out the best in Will's guitar playing. Of course, there is some programmed drums going on here, but these are programmed drums that are definitely well syncopated and definitely suiting to the rest of this album's vibe and feeling. Of course, it makes you want to bang your head and just get crazy once you get to the more heavier slam orientated riffs, almost breakdown like sort of elements. I think it's really, really good the way the drums are being handled here, drum programming at least, but I think it sounds really awesome and definitely something that makes you want to pay attention to what's going on. And moving on to the vocals, Anthony does a really, really great vocal performance here. Definitely stands out amongst the rest of this record. Definitely a lot of great power, a lot of great enunciations. He's not too guttural, but you can definitely understand what he's trying to say. There's a little bit of a fast sort of wordplay going on. Kind of reminds me of Phil Bozeman of Whitechapel just a little bit of a very fast, demon-esque sort of delivery in delivering the lyrics, and I think he does a very, very fine job with doing some of the vocal style as well here. Very great vocals, and definitely well placed lyrics and songwriting going on from every band member's part. And of course, there's some really cool guest vocals to be had here, like on the track Dissonancy, I believe. Mike from Splattered Entrails does some great vocal work, and I definitely think it's a track that suits him very well here. And then, of course, you get Devin, who, of course, is a lifer with Swine Overlord. You hear him on the track Seeds of a Treacherous Creation. I think he does some great vocals on that particular track. But overall, this is a very, very impressive debut album, and I would definitely recommend this to any fan of brutal death metal or any fan of brutal death metal that tries to be different and creative. I like what Swine Overlord are doing here, and I am only interested in hearing what the next steps from this band are going to be, because from what I understand, things are going to be completely different for the next go-around, like a complete 180-degree turn for the sophomoric effort. I have no idea what's going to be happening, but I'm pretty sure these guys know exactly what they're doing. So this is a majorly impressive debut from Swine Overlord. Definitely worth picking up and owning. So if I had to pick any favorite tracks, I would definitely have to say Celestial Purge, Convergence, Post-Burial Defloration, Cadaveric Pantomime, and probably one of the best tracks on here, Pork Chop the Man Butcher. Crazy song titles, but there's some really good substance to be had within all of these tracks. So I'm going to leave you some links in the description box as to how you can get a hold of this album and listen to it. I will link you to the Gore House Productions Bandcamp page, where you can stream this album in its entirety, hear it for yourself, and be your own judge as to whether you think it's worthy of being purchased or not. And I will also link you to the Gore House web store, where you can purchase physical copies of this album. There are also t-shirts, Raglan t-shirts, poster flags, the actual CD itself. Great layout, great CD and everything. It's definitely a mandatory purchase, I would say. So I'm going to show you the album again. This is Swine Overlord with Parables of Umbral Transcendence. This is released on Gore House Productions. Pick this up, and I'm going to give this a very strong 8.5 out of 10. Very awesome debut, and I cannot wait for the second release. So support Swine Overlord. I'm going to conclude this review. Thanks all for watching. Thanks for checking out my channel, and until next time, Army Ho out.